This conference will now be recorded.
Thanks everyone for coming to today's SAI community meeting. Today we will focus on new standardization for L4 load balancer APIs. Mike from Inside Packet will lead the conversation. But before that, I would like to get your attention to the OCP. OCP is happening on March 4th and 5th in San Jose. As you know that we talked about, we will have pre-summit Sonic SAI workshop and hackathon. Which happens on the Monday and Tuesday that week at LinkedIn campus. This is the registration link. We have a cap of 250 people. Either when we hit this cap or before February 17th, this is a deadline of the registration. I would strongly urge you, if you are interested and you plan to attend, please register soon. It will ask you where you participate only for the workshop or the hackathon. If you, particularly if you would like to also participate in the hackathon, please indicate so we have enough resource for you. That means the tables, the computation resource, and the souvenirs. And let me pause here. Any questions?
Not regarding this seminar thing, but we have from Broadcom. This is up from Broadcom. We have a couple items actually we submitted, and I'm not sure why it's not in the agenda. That we would like to talk about real quickly, if it's possible.
You submitted.
There are a couple of pull requests. Yeah, there are a couple of pull requests actually. We just need to talk about as well.
Oh, last time. Oh, today's community meeting, right?
I'm sorry.
You are talking about agenda for today's community meeting.
Yes. I'm sorry. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we have a queue. We have a queue. What's the agenda for each week? If we have time after this L4 load balancer SAI API definition defined, we can go to the APIs.
Okay.
Yeah. If not, please send me the pull request that if we don't have time, we have to do it next week.
Okay.
Yeah. May I ask who is that? So
This is Apo from Broadcom. Apo from Broadcom. APO.
Okay, I got it. Yeah, I got it. Okay, thanks. Okay. Yeah. We just build all the agenda in the queue. This was lined up a few weeks ago. Was targeted in this week to talk.
Yeah, we didn't meet last week, right? We did not meet last week, right? There was no meeting last week. Anyways, okay. So let's see what happens. Hopefully you guys end up finishing early so we can just talk about these two pull requests.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Okay. So you should already receive the notification, ask for participation in your SAI community mailing list or the Sonic community list. I just wanna make sure every year this we have to close the registration very early because we reached the cap. Okay. With that, I'm going to give time to Michael to drive the L4 load balancer discussing.
Okay, thank you. So I will share the document. Please let me know if you see it.
Yes, we are able to see your screen.
Excellent. So I will I edit this document to the pull request currently as is. I will later transform it to a Markdown format so that I think it is a more friendly format for collaboration. But currently, so that it is available to everyone, I just edit it as is. So the use case that I would like to discuss today is therefore a service load balancer. what it means is basically a session-aware load balancer that allows to present a virtual service and then load balance the traffic towards this service between endpoints, and endpoints can be physical servers, microservices, etc. And this mechanism has to be implemented in a way that does not allows to not disrupt the active sessions if the load balancing pool is changed so that the nodes are added or removed from the pool. This is on a very high level, and I will go into details now. Into more details. I would also like, before I forget, to thank Mariam from Mellanox, who contributed a lot to this API. Okay, so let's go over it quickly. So we have a single destination. It is a single IP that is presented to the outside world. Typically, it is also a port or a set of ports. I don't focus here on the specific set of ports that is allowed, because this can be handled by the existing ACL filter API. And we have this virtual service. The network connectivity also can be direct or indirect, it doesn't matter. So basically going into the load balancer and going out is standard. And this is a high-level scheme of the topology. So we have the load balancer. It has the client side displayed here on the left with some source IP for each packet that comes into the load balancer. It has the server side here on the right. And in a little bit more details, you can think of it as you have several machines. There might be probably some ECMP distribution that is not stateful between them. Optionally, it doesn't have to be. And then we have the physical servers, and each server probably is hosting multiple microservices, etc. The specific distribution mechanism can also vary. So the trivial case is just a uniform load balancing, but it can be also weighted load balancing, round robin, etc. It is implementation specific, and the API does not restrict that. So I will skip this diagram. It just displays what it means to basically preserve connections. And I think this diagram is more descriptive, so I will focus a little bit more on that. So I think this is the main diagram that describes the behavioral model of the feature, and it displays the single endpoint. You can think of it as a physical server or a service that is part of the load balancing pool. And just to add on top of that, the transitioning between the different states here, I described here a single endpoint, but it can also be a set of multiple endpoints, and in many cases it is possible to make the transitions more efficient if they are done in bulk updates. So let's say we have an endpoint. We can basically, on the administrative level, we can add or remove an endpoint. Once we add it, it is basically inactive, and then again on the administrative level, we can basically either ask to move an inactive node to become active, to activate it, or vice versa, from active to inactive. So let's inspect the path from inactive to active. Internally, since we are describing here a stateful load balancer, this is not an immediate transition. So the assumption here is that there is some state machine that is implemented within the SAI implementation, and the API itself is agnostic to the exact implementation. And during this during traversing the state machine, the node is considered to be active pending. Again, if we ask to go from inactive to active, it is active pending. It is not an administrative state again, so there is no API to make something active pending. But if you want to go from inactive to active and then read the status, you can receive that the current status is pending. In the API, you see that we have an administrative state and an operational state. So administrative states can be either inactive or active, but operational state can also be, for example, active pending. Once the transaction is completed, there is a notification that is available that notifies the caller that the transaction is completed. There is also a similar path from active to inactive, going through inactive pending. An additional path can be force deactivate. Okay, so just maybe to double click a little bit on that. When would we need this force deactivate? So let's assume, for example, we have a heartbeat mechanism towards the endpoints, and we realize that some endpoint is not reachable. Okay, so in this case, we would like to remove it as fast as possible from the load balancing pool. There is no incentive to make it to try to resolve active sessions, because sessions are already disrupted because the node is unreachable. So we would just like to go and in a straightforward manner to just remove it from the pool and adjust the load balancing so that it would not include this unreachable endpoint. So this is the main scenario where we would like to have this force deactivate transaction. Also, there may be a scenario where we would like to forcefully go from inactive pending to inactive. And the scenario here is consider, for example, that we want to go from active to inactive, but we have some sessions currently running towards the node that is being removed. So typically we would like to allow these sessions to expire, but typically there will be some timeout or some limit on the amount of time that we basically can wait for the active sessions to expire. And if it doesn't happen, we probably would like to complete the operation by again activating, calling the API with force deactivate. Any questions so far? Okay, great. So the text here, I will not go over it. It basically describes in details what I just explained here. And now we can go over the specific proposal of the API. The API definition is based on an existing module, the SAI-Next op group. It is an extension to the existing model. There are many advantages to having it as an extension to the existing model. Basically, in this way, each endpoint is a member of the group, and a member can be either a routing destination, but it can also be a tunnel. So there is all the flexibility that existing Next group implementation allows. Also routing towards the virtual IP towards the group is handled, and for specifying the port, as mentioned, we can use the existing ACL implementation. Another comment on the high level is that, as I mentioned before, sometimes it can be beneficial to modify multiple members at once, just in terms of the considerations of performance considerations of the internal implementation. And for that, the suggestion is to use a SAI bulk object, create, remove, set and get APIs. The set and get are still, I think, pending, that not yet integrated into the master, but it is expected to happen. So what are the changes? So first of all, we extend the SAI next top group type. Okay, so we define an admin state, which can be active, inactive, and force inactive. This is basically the set of requests for the transitions that we support. We have also a operational state, which can be inactive, active pending, active or inactive pending. Also, there is a notification structure that allows basically notifications once the transition is completed. We also have, I have to say that the document is not completely up to date. The latest version is on GitHub, but I will mention where there are differences and update it later. So this is currently appears the number of buckets. Basically, it is currently number of entries. This is just the size of the table that performs the distribution. And indeed, in case of hashing algorithms, it will be buckets. But if we have a load balancing mechanism that, for example, covers all sessions specifically, then it is per session table. So in general, it will be number of entries. Okay, and then another change here is that the administrative state is not mandatory on create to keep backward compatibility. And thanks for the comment on the pull request. So it will be optional and default to active. And this is the operational state that we mentioned. And finally, is the callbacks for the notifications. In SAI switch module, again, it is just adding the notification API, and this is basically all the complete set of changes that are required. That's it. Any questions, comments? Okay, thank you very much.
If there are no questions, can Broadcom use the remaining time to discuss the pull request that we have? What's going on?
I can hear you.
Hi.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
Sorry.
there's no objection. You could go ahead. Yeah. What about the opinion from the audience here? Yeah, I think please go ahead, Apo.
Okay. Yeah.
Hey, Tarak, are you there? Hey, Tarak? How about Praful?
Yes, Abu, I'm here.
Yeah, can you just okay, all right.
Yeah, can you make me as a presenter?
Yeah, you need to present.
Praful.
Praful, okay.
Yeah.
I'll make you presenter. 1 second.
Do you want to Tarak, if you're there, maybe we can just go over your stuff first because it's like quicker.
Yes, sure.
For some
Yeah.
reason, I can't make you a presenter.
Can you open that?
One second, hold on.
Open?
Hold on, guys. Who you want to put as a presenter?
So Tarak as a presenter, Tarak.
Okay. Are you going to switch back and forth between you?
I'm sorry?
Are you switching back to Michael later?
I couldn't understand what you said.
I mean, after we make Mark as the presenter, will we switch back to Mike?
Xin, actually, earlier maybe you have stepped away. Looks like Michael has finished, and there's no comment. So Broadcom is thinking they would like to present, and there's no objection.
Okay, sorry, I missed the context. Yeah, I make Tarak the presenter. Yeah.
Okay, let me just hey, Tarak, I just sent you the link.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Can I see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so a couple of weeks before we have added a few attributes for that one, and
Tarak, you're not audible.
one attribute Gohan was recommended to add in as part of. Hello, Apo, can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can hear you. Yes, go ahead. Sorry, Tarak. You're going on and off.
Oh, okay. Something wrong with my. Okay. Gohan, we want to have a hard reset option, chip reset option, which has two types. One is the soft reset, one is the hard reset. The hard reset is a feature it can applicable. It's similar to the power on reset of the chip. It completely resets the power on registers and including the firmware of the chip. So where it need a restart of the switch. So we have
the audio is breaking. We can't figure out what's
Yeah,
next.
the audio is breaking. It's not hard to understand. It's hard to understand you, Tarak. So basically, a couple of weeks ago, we presented a pull request, and we created these two type of resets. And
we have as per discussion, we have to switch type as a one of the
Tarak, you're not understandable. Please stop talking. This is hard to just understand what you're saying.
1 minute ago, I think.
Yeah, you need to just redial or just do something about this.
Is it fine now?
Yeah.
Okay.
The restart type hard reset required it will similar to the chip power on reset. So it need to be after power on reset. Need to be firmware has to be downloaded on the chip. And how soft reset, it clears all the settings except firmware. Firmware is reset to the download state, and it doesn't require doesn't need to be re-download the firmware. But we have to configure all the configurations whatever we have done for it. But both of them is required to need to restart the switch actually.
So I didn't understand the exact definition. What is the difference between them?
Hard reset to soft reset?
Yeah.
That documentation, I think we can append the documentation. What?
No, I'm not looking for. I'm asking. Sorry, I didn't hear the exact
The
difference between them. Both of them reset the silicon.
hard reset is nothing but the power on reset of the chip. It's
Cool. So
completely like
everything is
yeah,
dead, and bring
yes,
out back again. Okay.
yes, that's correct. It's
Cool.
a kind of a plain board which doesn't have any firmware. It doesn't have any settings and everything. It's just a power on reset.
Okay. So what is soft reset then?
The soft reset is that it clears all the settings, whatever we have done on the registers and mode configs and some of the settings whatever we have done, it will clears that. It's a firmware state actually. So after firmware download, whatever the default configurations for the firmware will do, right, it brings to that state.
Just a minute. But you're now assuming that every switch has a firmware and embedded CPU inside, and there is a state of the firmware.
Matty, I guess the confusion here is Tarak is talking about switch as a PHY. This is
Yeah.
not the regular switch. So last time, Tarak, when you presented, there was a comment you
I
mentioned. This
see.
is explicit.
This is
Yeah.
the gearbox attribute.
This isn't the gearbox. This is basically when the PHY thing came in. I think there was a decision to overload switch device and the PHY device as the same thing. So we need better documentation here, Tarak.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, we can add the documentation there. Actually, we need to explain exactly what it is. Maybe a couple of lines of explanation. Is that what you guys are asking for?
I really want to understand what does it mean, and because again, I don't understand what is not resetting the firmware. Who is the firmware? What states of the firmware are doing? Eventually, what is the contract? What will happen in case I'm eating the soft? Because it's standard API, right? You can always come up with kind of proprietary attribute. It's a standard one. So what is the contract?
So the soft reset is if you do soft reset, you're not re-downloading firmware. Hard reset, you have to download firmware. Soft reset is no firmware download, and whatever the firmware defaults are there, they're kept.
There is no firmware inside. What does it mean? I don't familiar with any API to download firmware. So what is the difference in terms of SAI switch?
SAI switch. This is not SAI. This is PI.
But
this
again,
is for the gearbox.
I asked, and the answer was not for the gearbox, or not only for the gearbox. So this is only relevant for the gearbox.
Yeah, basically the documentation should say what kind of switch it's applicable to, so that it's obvious to the user, else it's not clear.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we can update the documentation, as I said, right? We'll add some more stuff there to explain and what it's pertained to. Okay. So any other?
I have a question though. But this could also be applicable to ASIC switch somehow, eventually, in the future, even if currently it's not supported. Is it meant to be generic originally?
Yeah, it could be, but then it should explain what is the purpose. Like Matt is saying, what is the difference except for hard and soft words? What really is the application and the expectation?
Definitely. Then that means that this is basically something that it's not necessarily that a switch needs to support, just like any other attribute as well, right? Not necessarily a switch can support. Meaning it's there, but we could add the comment, but we don't need to restrict it to PHY.
Yeah, we don't need to, right? We don't have to specifically mention PHY only, but we can say what's the in the documentation part. We can say what's exactly it is for. That's what people are asking for, I believe. Yeah,
That's right.
we can do that. We can do that. We can add that. Yeah, make the changes and then resubmit. Okay.
Okay.
It's good. Yeah.
So,
All right. Thank you.
I also have this question. It says look at it's only read-only attribute. So how are you going to use it? You just query the capability that whether the chip support hard reset or soft reset, and then what? And then how do you invoke hard reset or soft reset?
No, this is a set only attribute, not read attribute.
What?
Yeah, it's set only attribute. Did we miss something over here? It's only set attributes. These are quick set attributes.
Which one? No, I think.
Can you open the? Can you click on the above 221, Tarak? That little thing, the arrow to the left, up to the left. Yeah. So it can show the whole thing, right? Switch type.
This is the enum value, right? So this is the enum value, and the attribute that use it is on line 988 in this file.
988.
You need to scroll all the down and then find out line 88, and that is a read-only attribute. So I'm not sure how we plan to use it. I think on the right there is a view file.
Yeah, looks like an oversight. I mean, the only way to fix it is to change that read-only to create and set.
Yeah, it has to be, right? That's not, and then the type is not correct.
No. This attribute was designed for query capabilities. It's like what are the restart types supported by the switch. If you want to, I think if you want to change it, I think it's going to be another attribute.
Well, that's what we did. We created another attribute actually, and then you guys said, "Oh, there's another one. Why don't we just use that?" That's what the problem is, I think. You said 988 was the. Yeah, I mean, a couple of weeks ago we presented and we got feedback from the community saying that, oh, there's already one.
There are two parts of the feedback.
Okay.
Right. So I think maybe I didn't explain clear, but there are two parts of the feedback. The one,
okay.
The other part is how do you specify what kind of restart type you are using when you boot up the switch. Let me try and find that.
Okay.
So Guhan, there's like a restart warm and then there's a restart type. Maybe it's like time to kind of reconcile and change them for the future.
Yeah, so I think yeah. I mean, we can discuss, but I just want to first bring us on the same page. We can definitely think about how to simplify that, but I think the where is that? Oh, there is boot type. It's line then 2271.
2271. Tarak can go. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. This is
boot type.
This is a key value type, not an attribute.
Yeah, this is the key value type, yes.
So what do you want us to do, Guhan?
Oh, so basically, I think we need to talk about this this hard reset or soft reset flow, right? So in this case, we can query the switch capability to see whether it supports the hard reset, soft reset, and then we're going to, in order to do the reset, you're going to first do the switch shutdown, right? So then after that, you are going to create a switch again, and in the create switch, you can pass this boot type to whether it's a hard reset or soft reset. And in that case, there are two things to take care of, right? So one is to do the shutdown, and when you do the shutdown, how do you specify what is whether you want to reset the chip at that time or not? And then you do the switch creation, and at the switch creation time, you specify what is the what is the boot type. So if we first agree on this flow, and then we can talk about what attribute we need to modify for the shutdown and for the boot up. So I think what is basically, how do you envision that we're doing this reset through the cycle? Because the last time you guys talk about, okay, I just set a switch attribute and it reset the chip. Then ask a question, what about the state that you are gathering the chip? Does the SAI lost all those states or those kind of things, right? So I didn't quite hear a clear answer that what is the overall flow that you want to do this hard reset and soft reset. Can you explain that?
Yeah, sure. Basically when we call the hard reset functionality, it means that the chip is a plain board. It doesn't have any firmware and doesn't have configurations, anything on the chip. So we have to call call the shutdown, and we have to call the create switch with the firmware download option. And further, we have to create the ports, and other rest of things has to be done for it for hard reset. And the soft reset also, same procedure we have to follow, but in create switch we doesn't require to re-download the firmware. The firmware will be available. Rest of those configurations we have to follow that.
Okay. So what is then what I guess that matches what I described here, but what is the flow that when you do the shutdown, how do you differentiate whether the next boot you want to do the hard reset or soft reset, or there's no need to do that? Because I think when we do the switch shutdown, let me see,
We really not sure. I mean that what type of shutdown we perform. It is intentionally like expected to do the shutdown. The user is forcing to do the shutdown, and because he want to reset the chip because some reason that he got a new firmware, or he want to re-download the firmware. He messed up with some configurations, and he want to give a try with whether after hard reset is the board is bringing up or not, some kind of me kind of thing.
Okay, so for the shutdown, you are not doing anything to the chip.
Yeah.
Okay, only at the switch.
Yeah, but I don't understand. Say in shutdown, suppose the file gets reset. How do you avoid that? Meaning you lost your firmware, so you cannot do the soft restart again. So you have to indicate that, okay, I am not doing a hard shutdown, I'm doing a warm shutdown kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, you mean that shutdown will force to the file to be reset?
It can. I mean, not just think about one kind of hardware. In general, even for the core switch, so there are two types. There is a warm shut so that you can do a warm boot. But if you're doing a cold shut, that means you cannot do a warm boot. So we are just asking this follow the same sequence essentially. If you intend to do a soft restart, then don't do a hard shutdown, do a soft shutdown.
Okay. Okay, yeah, that is quite understandable. Yeah, possible. Yeah.
Okay, so then comes a question, right? So, you know, I think in terms of the hard reset, it doesn't seem so necessary because in the current reboot type, it already has a cold reboot. So by default, it will, you know, reset the firmware. And I don't know why we introduced this, you know, this hard one for the, yeah, for you guys. You guys want to introduce, and also, for the, there is also a fast boot option which says we don't want to reinitialize the file, and I guess we can also use that.
Yeah, I mean, so Apu and Tarak, I mean, if you want, we can discuss offline. I
Yeah,
mean,
I
just
think
just
that's
by,
what we should do. I
yeah,
think
just
that's
by
what we
looking,
should do.
right, just by hearing the discussion between you and Guhan, it seems everything already exists. We could just reuse all that stuff.
Yeah, maybe Gohan, we could just have a meeting separately.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah, let's just talk about
Then,
this, clean this up, man. It's been sitting out for a long time now. Just need to
yeah, I
finish
think,
this up.
yeah. I think also Tusha has a lot of experience in terms of doing this on the, so we can, you know, let's also involve him. You know, we can talk about that.
Okay.
How
Yeah, let's just do that. Okay. Can we move to the other one if there's time, or do we need to just like wait? Praful has some stuff actually. He has been talking with Dipankar for a while now, and he proposed some exec-related changes. I think there's some stuff.
Yeah, we can talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah, we
let's just
have
talk
10
about
minutes
that.
left.
Can we also discuss one more pull request?
Yeah, can you just make Praful the presenter?
Actually, I'm driving. Rita, I made you the organizer.
Rita.
Can you put Rita as, or can you put Apu as the presenter?
Praful.
Apu, okay.
Okay, let me try. I wasn't able to earlier. I'll try. Yeah.
You can put the mouse to that name and right click the mouse. It will give you many choices. Make as the organizer or as the presenter.
I think I made prefer presenter.
Yeah, he's there already. Okay,
Great,
he's the
thank you.
presenter.
Yeah.
Praful, go ahead, please.
Okay.
Praful, if you're talking, we cannot hear you.
Hello.
Yeah, now I can hear you, but I don't see your screen. Oh, there you go. Okay.
My screen.
Yes, you can see.
You are able to see?
Yes.
Okay. So this is for MaxSec statistics. So this is basically MaxSec statistics is reorganized based on the correct objects. So
Prefer we are
here,
prefer we are not seeing a MaxSec. We're seeing your meeting.
Yeah, meeting invite is showing this. I think you're not sharing the right screen.
oh, I think I'm just a minute. Is it visible now?
Yes.
This MaxSec screen? Yes. So basically, earlier, like this MaxSec statistics, like it was like we have in IEEE specification, we have MaxSec port interface statistics. So, but in our this proposal, this MaxSec port, this is for like physical 5 port. So we mentioned those statistics as a part of port stats, but the MaxSec SecY entity has corresponding object is flow in our architecture. So those these statistics are like I moved from port states to the flow states. So that is the correct way to represent this statistics, like max XY statistics inside our architecture. So you can see like these are like XY, max XY has control port and common port. So these statistics just I moved to the port statistics, flow statistics, and I added one more attributes here: SAI maxec flow state other error. So in case it is not part of IEEE specification, but hardware supports, like if there are some drop packet in maxec flow or there is some error, so we can use this attribute and we can show those packets also. So this is the one part, and there is one attribute like SAI global statistics. So earlier those were part of the secure channel object. So that I moved into the flow stats. So basically I segregated port interface statistics and global MACsec SAI statistics as a part of the flow object, so that it should be presented at the single object, and that is the like representing the SAI object in our case. Flow object is representing the SAI object. So that's why I segregated the whole things. So I discussed with Dipankar regarding this. So I added this flow statistics. These functions were not there, so I added this flow stats functions. So these statistics now we will implement as a part of the flow stats. So this is the change. Any question?
What is this? I think you do two things, right? So the port, I understand, but what is this? Why moving this MACsec SC status to also to flow? What is the SC status?
Yes. So this MACsec, you can see this like these stats like MACsec SC stats packet untagged this control packets. So basically these are part of our like MACsec SEQI global stats. So they require like SEQI basically one SEQI MACsec SEQI has three ports. One is controlled port, and second is uncontrolled port, and one is common port. That is control port plus uncontrolled port. It is common port. So those statistics we can get those things as a part of flow object, because that needs our virtual port ID. So so here because these are like part of that global flow object, so that's why I moved these things to flow object. So we can because that needs that virtual port, these statistics.
And you only have one attribute in this secure channel status.
Yes, secure channel statistics has only one like SC state, SA not in use. So only this only this states it is there inside this.
Why is it special about this status?
Because this SA is like no, every secure channel will have a list of SAs. So in the secure channel, we have like number of packets, like we have to calculate, we can get the number of packets which are not using the SA. So that's why this is required in as a part of SC stats, like number of packets which are passed through the secure channel and it is not using the SA.
see control. Do we get a sign off from you mentioned talk to whom? Do we get sign off from him?
Yeah,
Deepak.
I talked to Deepankar, yeah.
Did you get sign off from him? What is his comment? I don't see his comments. I don't see his approval.
So I had email communication, so I sent same change to him. So so maybe I'll ask again, like if he has any other comment.
So what
So
is his
whatever.
comment?
So he's like he has given some comments. I can show email chain if you want.
Actually, hey, Kohan, do you want the comments to be added here, right? That's what you're saying, Dipankar? Yeah, because otherwise it's just like a private email communication. So we can just ask him to just add his comments because I mean you cannot decide right now. Probably he's just presenting and see if there's any other issues that you guys are seeing in this presentation. So we can just ask Dipankar to add his comments. Or approval, right? You know, if he's okay with it. Okay, we will do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is the change. So this is basically like we are segregating a whole like global statistics, SAI global statistics at one
And
place.
also, can you have a more detailed description of what status changed to what? Because you also you not only change the place, you also change the name. So it's difficult for us to understand. For example, you know, in the MACsec channel status, the first one is 595. If you go to the 595, right? So this attribute is control packet. What does it change it to? Change it to where? I cannot find it. Change to which status?
Okay, this also this is changed here. One second, this one. Yeah, this you can see line number 479.
Okay, interesting. So I know previously was a port or a secure channel, and then now it changed to the flow. Why?
Yes.
Why is that? I mean, it
So
seems it's a different status.
no, this control packet, it is because MACsec like it represents SecY like MACsec is SecY security entity. So every security entity has control packet, port, and uncontrolled port. So and number of control packets passed through it. So it collects those statistics as a part of SecY. Means it is global means, global statistics. So it is not like per secure channel. Secure channel represent like only one channel, secure channel. So but these are the global statistics per SecY.
Okay. Okay. The document also need to be updated. Like the one that yeah.
But in document we are not explaining this statistics. Whatever API proposal document is there.
Okay, but it still changes the model, right? So because in the document, the previously says a flow can bind to a secure flow can bind to, you know, maybe two different secure channels, right? So then now you are moving the statics from secure channel to the flow. Then it seems aggregated. It's only the aggregate status for the channel.
So this flow basically represent like one SAI entity, like is MACsec security device entity, and secure channel is like part of the like physical basically physical channel, and that has SA secure associations.
Yeah. Right.
So that's why this
But initially, each secure channel will have its own status. Now, if let's say we have two secure channel bind to one secure flow, and then now you only have status on the secure flow, not the secure channel, right?
Yeah, one secure flow can have two secure channel. Yeah, that is correct.
Yeah.
So it will aggregate both secure channel states in one secure flow, like one flow.
So you're losing some capabilities, like some kind of granularity. You're losing those granularity by moving the status from secure channel to secure flow.
But hardware collects statistics like this only. So it collects statistics per SAI.
Yeah, but maybe when Deepak designed this document, he's probably seeing some other devices may have such capabilities. It's just your specific chip doesn't have that capabilities. You know what I'm saying? That maybe
Yes.
you know I think we need to understand whether it makes sense to have those status in the secure channel or not. If it makes sense, if it's just because your chip doesn't support it, doesn't mean that we should remove it, right? So if your chip only support flow, maybe we should add in those flow, but we should not remove in the secure channel. Remove those status in the secure channel.
Yeah, we can ask like Deepankar, like he can like give comment on this. So because on email communication, he agreed with this. So he told, yeah, these are the global SAI statistics that should be part of the flow object. So yeah, on email he agreed. So yeah, we can ask, like he can give his comment here.
Okay.
Yeah.
And can you do a mapping? Because also it's not clear in your PR. It's unclear that what you have changed. You only mention you change the port status, but you also change the secure channel status. You know, the description, there's no description in the PR. So it's hard for the people to review to understand what is your changes. Okay.
Yes.
Can you have mapping, one-to-one mapping, what attribute change to what attribute, so that people can understand it?
So this. Yeah, so from this you can see this MACsec flow broadcast packets control. So these were part of the till 473. It was part of the port states, and from 476 to this down, it was part of the secure channel. So like this, I moved this one.
Okay. I mean, I need need more description, and also need Deepak to
comment.
To comment.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We will ask.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. It's already past time, I think.
Yeah. Okay. I'll ask Deepankar regarding this. Okay, then.
I have one more PR to discuss if we have time. Can someone make me a presenter?
Actually, it's already past the time, right? Should we discuss this like next time?
Okay, that's fine.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
let's finish
Okay.
next time. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Bye.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks everyone. Bye.
Take care, everyone. Go Hawks.